Okay, so now we're going to talk about chapter 8. All right, so it starts with Star discussing the idea of funeral, and she's talking about how funerals aren't for dead people. And I think what she means here is the idea that, funerals aren't really for the people who have died, but rather to make those left behind feel better, to feel connected to the person who died, to have a chance to honor their memory. She talks about how Khalil wouldn't care about any of it, and it doesn't matter anyway. And so this is kind of her acknowledgement that he is really gone and that nothing really matters because he's gone. So then she's talking about how her family goes to a diverse church, and she describes it as a kind of alternative church. She says there's a white guy on a guitar. The service lasts less than an hour. And she mentions that her mother decided they should switch to this church, and her father doesn't care. Um, this kind of exemplifies the way her mother is leading the charge with these changes to their lifestyle, right? So, her going to Williamson, them going to a new church, her desire to leave Garden Heights. So, Maverick is kind of the one who's determined to stay in Garden Heights and try to enact change from the inside. And then it's Lisa who's pushing against that. Um, then at the funeral, when the pastor tells Star that he's sorry, since she was the one who was with Khalil when it happened, she describes how she feels like she's stealing sympathy from Khalil's family. And this is really a repeated theme. She wasn't sure she should go to the funeral. She keeps mentioning how she barely ever saw Khalil anymore, how they drifted apart. And she says that she feels like a phony sitting in the front row. Um, so she seems to feel like an imposter or a fake in every situation that she's in, and now at the funeral, it's just kind of heightened. She's afraid of what the attention from people will mean, how others will see her if they know that she was with him. And then she feels a sense of guilt for being the one who survived, right? Being alive when both of her best friends were killed right in front of her. Then when she sees Khalil in the castle, I mean, the castle in the casket, she says the real Khalil had dimples. This mannequin version of him doesn't. And so basically, it's the idea that death took away the parts of him that made him himself. Right? We knew from her first description of him that his dimples were something that defined him, and something that she loved about him. And so without them, she feels like he's not really Khalil. It's not the real him. Um, okay. Um, then at the funeral, the King Lords show up, and King puts a gray bandana on Khalil's chest, showing everyone that he was a King Lord. And Miss Rosalie yells at him and Seven's mother, calling Seven's mother a prostitute. And we learn here kind of Seven's backstory. We learn that Seven was the result of King hiring um, Seven's mother to have sex with Maverick after he had a fight with Lisa. Um, and Star's father, we kind of learn that he was a very different man when he was part of the King Lords. We also learn, that Star's mother is extremely forgiving, not just because she's married to Maverick, but also because she loves Seven like he's her own son, despite his origin. Um, we also learn that Star knows a lot about her family's history, right? She knows kind of like the gritty facts of it. And we see this even the way that she says that King hooked Mav up. So that kind of language shows that she knows exactly what has happened, right? There's so many things that she hasn't been shielded from. And she's been exposed to so much, even from a young age. She talks about the different gang traditions and wonders how Khalil could have become a King Lord. Just like she can't really imagine him dealing drugs, um, when drugs are what essentially left him motherless. She can't imagine him joining a gang that her dad had told them so many horror stories about. Um, and she talked about how she probably could have talked Khalil out of becoming a King Lord. And then again, she feels guilty about what she sees as herself abandoning Khalil in both his life and in death, right? She didn't intervene when he was alive, and now that he's dead, she's denied his place in her life. Um, but then when she's thinking about everything they went through and watches his casket leave the church, there's this finality to it that makes her break down. She says, "They left me." Um, and, you know, obviously, she's the only one that's left. It was her, Khalil, and Natasha, and now it's just her. And so part of her feels like she has to just deal with things on her own now. They were her best friends, they were her support system. They're the ones that she would have gone to for comfort, but it's the loss of them that she needs comfort for. Okay, and then outside the church, they're approached by April Ofra, and we begin to see that Star is going to be at the center of what's happening, whether she wants to be or not. And the implication from Miss Ofra is that Star is going to be the focus of the case either way, and so she wants to make sure Star is in control of the way that it happens.